Okay, should have sound now. Oh, I forgot about the comments being here. How cool. No, yes, you should have sound now. I fixed it. I think I fixed it. Christy, can you tell me if I fixed it? Oh my God. Seriously, can I just tell you how excited I am by the way this looks? I want to change this up a little bit actually. Okay, great. Fabulous. Okay, remember last week when we found these, there we go. There's everybody's comments. Everybody's comments are going to come here now. Oh my God, this is so fun, all these comments. I'm loving it more than anything. I meant to do this. I meant to make this happen. There we go. There we go. Make it a little bit tinier. Okay. Fab. All right, that'll work for right now. Okay, so I'm all the way to, wherever. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Oh my God, so what I'm going to have to do now is I'm actually going to have to trim the first, 3 minutes because I basically am babbling and talking and nobody can understand a word I'm saying because I'm obviously silent. No, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I need to do that as a check from now on to make sure that the Yeti microphone here, let me move this here. The Yeti mic is actually set as a source. Truthfully, once we get to a position where I'm not moving around quite so much and we don't have so much chaos, we'll be in a better position where I can actually workshop and smooth some of these things out. But for in the meantime, I'm just going to be working on content. Thanks, Stacey, thanks everybody for being so understanding. FYI, while I was muted, I was actually talking about how amazing the team, the community manager, Christy Dawn for the Social Strategy Squad. I was actually talking about how amazing she is and how I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do without her. Thank you so much, Christy. I love you. Okay, so today, and I didn't even get a chance to, you didn't even hear what we're talking about today. So today we're talking about getting off of Facebook, okay? The myth about getting off of Facebook. This is super, super important, especially in light of Facebook apocalypse from 2 weeks ago. So do me a huge favor. If you are a leader of a team, if you have influence in within your direct sales company, if you are a business owner, like a boutique owner or a business owner where you have a network of people that you want that are on Facebook, please share this information with them because it is really, really important because I want to massage out the conversation that is happening all over the place right now about getting off of Facebook, not putting your business on Facebook, not putting all your eggs in the Facebook basket. And though I'm going to just tell you right off the bat, I found Facebook to be untenable for many years of my business. I am not paid by Facebook. I don't get any money from Facebook. I don't like Facebook. I feel like Mark Zuckerberg has lost sight of his original vision. There's a lot of things that are wrong with it. So whatever it is that we talk about today is not coming from a place of what's the word of like I love something so much that that I'm evangelical about it. I really think you should do this because it's so important, right? This is not about that at all. This is about recognizing that just because I don't like something or something is awful, like Facebook, for example, and can have an awful impact on us, it doesn't. And as much as we want to get rid of it, we may be in a position where that's not an option that's available to us, and why and how we can put ourselves in those positions. So really what it's about is having a conversation about a realistic assessment of what it would take to get off of Facebook and the price that you would pay if you did that, because the price would be extremely heavy. And I want to make sure that everyone's aware of how we got here, why we're here, and if you do decide to make that choice, what challenges you're going to face so that you can overcome those challenges. And if you decide to stay on Facebook, which is ultimately what I think most of you are going to end up doing, we'll talk about how to make it so that Facebook is not such a large part of your day or your life, right? Because the bigger issue with Facebook is not so much that it exists or that we have to use it, as much as it's taking over our entire lives, and it feels like we can never get away from it. Like I feel like, well, I don't now, but I felt like, at least for several years in my business, that I barely went a few moments without thinking about Facebook. And I didn't want Vanessa's brain to equal Facebook, right? Like I didn't want my brain, my soul, my spirit to be so consumed with Facebook and the Facebook idea and the Facebook work and the Facebook business that was my whole life. And for a lot of my clients and members of the squad and people that I talk to in small businesses outside of the squad, that's one of the bigger issues is Facebook has taken over our lives, but it's not giving us anything in return, right? We don't feel like we're getting the financial return that we're looking for. And so the question becomes, what value are you providing me, Facebook, that would keep me on here? And so now we're going and looking at other places. All right. So I want to talk about that very specifically. Hi, Ashley. Hello, hello. I want to invite all of you, as you are listening, to feel free to respond, write comments, really talk about whatever responses that you have. Feel free to post them in here as I am doing the live recording. Because the way that this works is I'm like, okay, guys, I'm about to go live. And then I'm like, oh, okay, live. And then I start going live. Hello, Alessandra. So good to see you. And we start and then when I go live, and then while I'm doing the podcast, I don't look at any of the comments, but then I come back after and we have a Q&A and a discussion about them and really kind of massage out some of these issues. And because we're talking about Facebook, which is such a big deal, I really want to encourage you, don't be shy, right? Make sure if you have any questions at all, put them in here, even if they seem silly or stupid, because I promise you, someone else has that same question. I've never heard a question that I didn't then immediately after hear 14 people say, oh my God, thank you for asking that question, because this is something I really wanted to know and I was afraid to ask, right? Okay. All right. Oh no, dude, I don't want to start a social media platform. Oh my God. I know that I couldn't do it. That I know how hard it is. Oh my God. But I am going to show you how to divorce yourself from social media while maintaining a friends with benefits relationship. How about that, right? A divorce where you maintain a friends with benefits relationship with Facebook so that you can get what you need out of Facebook without having to deal with all the drama, right? That's really what we're looking for. Friends, honestly, trust me to come up with that kind of analogy, because I mean, if you knew me in my 20s, you would know, like I was quite prolific. Think Samantha and Blanche, right? So that's definitely the direction my mind is going to go in. Like, let's be friends with benefits. Okay, Facebook? Alrighty. Okay. Can I do that with my husband too? Exactly. Right? Dude, no. No. Yeah. Alrighty. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about, all right. So we're going to do the podcast part now, and then we'll dive into the Q&A. So keep your questions coming. And then as new people join, for those of you who are used to I take the Kleenex. For those of you that are used to it, just feel free to just be like, hey, leave your questions here. Like Christy, Ashley, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be fab. Okay. Let's talk about Facebook. Okay. Ready? Let's start the recording. No, wait. We're not starting recording. Okay. Actually, you know what I'm going to try? I'm going to actually record it at this. Look at me recording it at the same time. All right. Hello, and welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast, the place where you can come to learn. No, let's start that again. I hate that. Okay, start again. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast. This is take 2 of our intro, and this is what happens when you do it live. I am so excited to talk about our topic today because we're going to be talking about Facebook apocalypse. It may have had this podcast is being released shortly after the Facebook apocalypse in October of 2021, but there have been other Facebook apocalypses that occurred in 2020 and 2019. You can pretty much be sure that there's going to be 1 or 2 every year. And the problem with that is that whenever Facebook goes down, if you're a business owner, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot to deal with, because for many of us, your businesses have a huge space. Facebook holds a huge space in your business. And if it goes down, you're not sure how you're going to get the sales, the results, the engagement, any of those things without it. Now, when Facebook went down just recently, I got a lot of messages freaking out. I sent out an email to my community basically saying Facebook is down. Here are some of the things that you can do. I got so many messages in response to that of people freaking out, really worried. I actually had one message saying, is Facebook going to come back? Do you think Facebook's actually going to come back? And of course, Facebook's going to come back. People were panicked. But I also got a different type of email. And this email was very exciting to me. Text messages, emails, basically saying there were people who didn't even notice that it went down. Okay. Emails from Marlene and Sarah and Katie, Amy, Ashley, people who didn't even notice that the platform went down. And they went on about their business, made money, did things, grew their businesses with their audience. Like, they just went on with it. The lack of Facebook did not in any way impact their ability to move their businesses forward. Facebook wasn't even a blip on their radar. And ultimately, that's kind of what we all want, right? We want to be able to have a business that feels stable, that feels consistent, that we don't have to be afraid of, right? Like, we don't want to be afraid. Like, we don't want to be panicked when Facebook goes down, and then we don't want to be afraid that it might go down again, right? That's not why anybody got into business, right? So in order to sort of break this apart and massage this, because this is, the idea of Facebook going down, putting all of our eggs in the Facebook basket. Should I get off of Facebook? Should I stay on Facebook? All of these questions, this is big questions, and they're kind of deep and heavy. So I want to break it up into a few pieces and massage it out. But don't worry, it's not going to take super long, but I want to make sure that I address everything that I can think of as is part of the conversations that I've had with my clients and with my audience. Okay. So the first thing is when do we usually think about getting rid of Facebook? Because often we have these conversations about, oh, I got to get off Facebook. I don't want to be on Facebook. There's a couple of times when that usually happens. It'll usually happen when there's an outage and you're panicked and you're like, oh my God, I cannot deal with this anymore with Facebook. I need to get off. I need an alternative. And that's usually when we think about a panicked response to something. We try to find, like, let's say you use Clubhouse or YouTube or whatever. You spend that particular day focused intensely on it. But as soon as Facebook comes back up again, you forget about that and it goes by the wayside. So you've really spent an entire day focusing your efforts on a piece of software that you're probably not going to use ever again, or until the next time Facebook goes down. When reach and engagement are low is usually when you're talking to friends and be like, oh my God, I just have to get off of Facebook, right? I just don't want to be on it. Facebook is such a nightmare. Or you commiserate with each other about how Facebook is such a nightmare, which tends to perpetuate a lot of myths about why Facebook isn't working or why you're not seeing sales from your business, because we're all hanging out in this little echo chamber where it's Facebook is not giving me the results that I want. When your sales are low, that's another time you're usually looking for to get off of Facebook. Tuesday code drop days, or when a new piece of a new hotness comes out, like, oh look, TikTok's out, super hot. Oh look, Clubhouse is out, oh super hot. Oh look, Telegram is out, oh super hot. Whenever something new comes out, and I'll always get a message from a couple of different people saying, oh my God, you have to get on this platform. I'll be really honest with you. Those messages are usually more distractions for your business than actually going to help you grow your business. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is later on in the podcast. So the reason why, right? So like when you're in that moment, right? Let's talk about why you want to switch. Why is it that I get a message about Telegram or Clubhouse or whatever it is, right? Why do you ask yourself, should I get off of Facebook, or I really want to get off of Facebook, right? Those moments are the moments when the feeling is triggered and you ask the question. But let's dig a little bit deeper into why you ask the question, right? So why did I ask the question? When I used to say this all the time, and I used to look for platforms off of Facebook all the time. I don't anymore, because now I understand what I was actually doing and the impact that it had on my business. But for a long time, that was my solution as well. And it was because I knew, just like you do, that in order to have a successful business, you need to have systems and tools that you can count on, right? You can't have a business where your supplier is never sending you products. You can't have a business where you can't keep up with the products. You can't have a business where the tools are constantly breaking, right? Like Facebook is breaking here and there. Like it doesn't work. Or if your email system is breaking down or whatever it is, like that makes it disruptive to your workflow. And businesses work best when they're a routine, when it's an engine that just kind of runs like your car, right? Your car doesn't work well if you stab the wheel with a knife every day, right? That's going to disrupt your car performance. So you know that. And so for you, you're like, I don't feel like I can count on Facebook because it's unreliable. And so to create reliability, you feel like you need to find another piece of software. So your gut instinct about Facebook being a disruptive force in your business is accurate. The solution is not necessarily the most effective solution, but your gut feeling about what's going wrong is accurate, right? But I want to talk a little bit about the reality of what you're seeing, right? So you think you're seeing one thing, but I want to tell you what the actual problem is, and it's a little bit bigger than simply Facebook. There's an image that pops up on my Instagram feed once every 3 or 4 months or so. And it's this image of a lion cub or a tiger mom cub, a lion mom holding her cub in her mouth. And if you look at the image from one side, you can see that she's carrying her cub in her mouth the same way that a lion would carry her cub anyway. But on the other side, it looks like she's eating the cub. Okay. So it's the same pitch, just one side to the other side. It really just depends on the way that you look at it. Okay, so that's the first thing, is that things, just because you think you're seeing something doesn't mean that that's what you're seeing. And I say you, but this applies to me as well. Like I say you just because I'm talking to you. But generally speaking, this applies to all of us. And anything that I say in here, I'm either done before or I'm still working through it, because this is part of being human. So that's the first thing I wanted to share, is that one, things aren't always the way they appear. The second thing is, just because you know something to be immutably true, like unquestionably true, doesn't mean that it is. And I'm going to give you a really mind-blowing example that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. And that is that the universe did not start with a Big Bang. You can go look that up. This is new research as of like a week ago. And I read this and I'm like, what? And it's like, no, there was more before the Big Bang. And I'm like, what? My brain is having a lot of trouble because I am trying to turn this ship that has been pointed in one direction since I was a baby, right? Since I was a baby, the universe started with the Big Bang. And now I'm 44 and you're telling me it started differently and it went on before that and there's other stuff going on. What the heck are you even saying? It sounds so impossible. But if something that immutably true can be different, can be untrue, you can learn new things that you're like, oh, wait, I've learned more. If you can figure out that, oh my God, dinosaurs became birds, whoa, mind blowing, right? Because they were reptiles when I was a kid. These are things that we held to be immutably true. But we know now that they aren't because we've learned more. Those are two very important concepts for what we're about to talk about. Because for me, that was the hardest part, is letting go of what I thought was going to make my business successful. I was very angry about it for a very long time. Just FYI, I don't do well with that. So here's why we use Facebook. Okay. Let's just talk about why we're using Facebook. We're using Facebook because it has 2.89 billion people on it. It has the lion's share of the social media market. Your audience is on it because if you're my audience, then chances are that your audience is women, Gen X women, 35 and older. So maybe not necessarily Gen X, some millennials as well, but 35 and older. Those women are on Facebook. Over 75% of those women are on Facebook. The next one we're going down is YouTube, and that's way lower. And then Instagram is at 40 something percent. So the people that you're trying to reach are on Facebook. Okay. This is where they come naturally in their day to day. They use it in there every day, which means it's a natural and easy way for you to just slide into their day, right? Slide into their DMs, slide into their day, get their attention and stay on top of mind, right? Because they'll be like browsing. Oh, look, there's Vanessa, right? Oh, look, there's Vanessa. And even if they don't do anything with me in that moment or engage in that post in that moment, I'm still, they've thought of me. I'm in the back of their mind as something that they've seen. People will purchase ultimately if you are top of mind, because if you're not, then they'll think of something else. So for example, if I sold clothes and I don't ever put myself on people's social media feed, then when my clients are looking for clothes, they're going to go to the person who does put things on their social media feed, which is my sister, right? And it's because she's consistent and consistently posts, or Target, who consistently does advertising and throws money behind everything, right? Those are the things that keep a brand top of mind, so that when someone's like, oh yeah, I need that thing, you're the first person that they think of. It's not necessarily always I see the thing, I buy it. It's also I'm associating you with this product so that when I need this product, I think of you. And in order to do that, you need to be top of mind. You need to be on Facebook, so on, right? That's where it all started. That's where it all started way back when we started selling on Facebook. And we would just post 40 posts a day and people would buy from us all the time, because that's how everything was then. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, if this is where all the people are, okay, if you leave Facebook, where are you going to find them? That's a really important thing to think about, okay? So let's say you leave Facebook. Where are you going to find them? If you go to Instagram, you're looking at 40%. You can go to Google, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. That really only works if you understand your audience, know your keywords. There's a whole series of things that goes into being on Google. You have to have a very specific, if you use IG or Google or any of these other things, you need to have a very specific funnel in place to move people from where you're finding them to where you want to send them to buy. It's a much more complicated process, and you need to have an unbroken path from the place that you find your audience to the place that you send your audience. So if I find them on TikTok and I send them to a website, I need an unbroken path. I need a clear line that takes them there. And you need to know, you need an airtight understanding of your target audience. Okay. You need to know who they are. Okay. And why they buy from you. The reason why so many of us are on Facebook is because Facebook is both. It allows you to find people and sell to them on the same platform. Find and sell on the same platform. For most other platforms, you can find and sell, but the finding is harder because there are less people, okay? So you usually will need to jump into advertising, okay? Or you need to know your audience so well that you can find them with pinpoint accuracy. And if you do know your audience that well that you can find them with pinpoint accuracy, then you should be finding them. You would be able to, don't say should. You would be finding them on Facebook as well. So when you know your target audience with pinpoint accuracy, you don't actually have to worry about the platform. You don't care about your platform. So if you're not seeing people coming to you on Facebook, then you probably don't have an airtight understanding of your target audience, in which case you will struggle when you go to do other things. And the reason why your business is unstable is not because you're on Facebook, right? Because if you had an airtight understanding of your target audience, you would get them, right? So then it's not because you're on Facebook. It's because you're not necessarily using Facebook the way it needs to be used. Because Facebook has a bunch of switches, okay? If you don't flip the right switches, then you won't get the results you want. If you flip the right switches, you get the results you want. Same way as if you walk into a dining room, you flip on a switch that's not connected to the fan up atop, it's not going to turn on. Same thing with Facebook, right? But you have to know what those switches are, which means that you need a stable strategy and a system in place that supports Facebook, okay? So the fact that you have put all your eggs in Facebook's basket is where the anxiety comes from, right? In order for you to only be on the Facebook basket, you have to know how to flip every single one of those switches exactly right. And that is a lot. I don't even know how to flip all of those switches exactly right. It is a lot of pressure and a lot of work to do, right? So over the last several years, I've worked with a lot of business owners, and not a single one of them had a problem that if they just switched off of Facebook, that it would solve it. It's never been just Facebook. It has always been the strategy and the tactics that they've built around Facebook to support it, instead of using it as their single point of failure and the single point of success, right? In fact, more often than not, because the issues are not what you think they are, right? Remember the lion cub in the mouth? When you switch platforms, most business owners see their businesses fall in more chaos, have more anxiety, and make less money. And ultimately, they end up making it worse for themselves, right? Because we're not always seeing what we think we're seeing, right? And also, just because things were always one way doesn't mean that they will always be that way. Now, why did this change? Okay, because these things that I'm saying they were always true for marketing. But for Facebook, when it was first created, it didn't function like this. So you don't have these ideas because you were wrong, or I didn't get these ideas about how to post on Facebook back in post all the time and then people will show up. Those ideas come from a very real place where Facebook was set up that way. But then in August 2015, the gigantic watershed moment, a disruptive event, cataclysmic event occurred in complete silence, and we didn't realize it, which was that Facebook Live came into the earth. And when it did, it changed the sales landscape forever. It has taken a long time for many people, myself included, to recognize the impact that Facebook Live had, not just on sales, but on the overall way in which we approach our business. And that if we did not make some serious changes, that you're just going to be stuck on that train forever, where you feel like you always have to work, you're never making enough money, you're never getting enough customers, Facebook is just driving you crazy. That is set up because we are still operating, most people are still operating as if we are living in pre-2015, pre-August 2015. Post-August 2015 and pre-August 2015 are two completely different landscapes, and you simply cannot use the same rules as before as you do now because of Facebook Live, right? Now that there's a much clearer understanding, there's more coaches coming out that are training this way because more people are starting to see, okay, I understand now how Facebook Live fits into the overall marketing landscape, and that we can't necessarily train the way we did before. So you're starting to see other people come out of the woodwork training in this way. And it's going to start becoming more and more prevalent moving forward, okay? So what that means is that where we're at right now, this is the ground floor. And when I was in direct sales, one of the things that people used to say is that, God, I wish I could get in early. You've got to get in early to be able to make the money, right? And what's funny is that I've often found that when the time comes in to get in early, most people don't want to get in early, right? Whatever it is, most people don't want to get in early because getting in on the ground floor doesn't look like what you think it does. When you are on the other side of something that has become amazing and incredible, then getting in on the ground floor sounds very, very exciting. And oh my God, I wish I'd gotten in on the ground floor. When you are on the other side of it, the beginning side of it before, like when you're actually at the part where it is the ground floor, it doesn't look exciting at all. Okay. It looks terrifying. It looks like, oh my God, is this a mistake? Is this going to work? Should I do this? Oh my God. That's what it looks like when you're on the ground floor of something. A lot of people do not like the discomfort that comes with that kind of a risk. Doing this kind of activity where you are transforming how you approach your business and building a system around Facebook to support it, that is ground floor work. That is next gen training. That is stuff that there's only few coaches teaching like this right now, right? That are out there that I can think of, right? And it's so important to recognize that because it's going to make you uncomfortable, right? And I want you to think back to the last time you said, man, I wish I was on the ground floor. For you, you imagined it being like, oh my God, we're embarking on this great, exciting journey and adventure. But to the people who are doing it, it's like, oh my God, this seems really, really scary. That's where you're at right now, right? Which is why it's so uncomfortable for us to do this, because it is different from what we've been taught most of our lives, right? And so now we're thinking outside the box. We are disrupting, right? So let's talk about what a stable business looks like in the post-Facebook Live world, okay? First, you need a stable strategy, okay? And I've talked about this before. You can't be successful if you build your business with one point of failure. If you imagine a stool, right, with just one pole holding it up, the sitting part up, and you sit on it, you're going to injure yourself. Like, forget about a base. You're just putting a pole and the stick on it and a tabletop on it. That tabletop's going to fall, right? You're not going to be able to balance it. But you start adding more legs and suddenly you're able to balance whatever that tabletop is. So if you only have a single pole that you're using to hold up the entire table of your business, guess what? Your business is going to be extremely unstable and it's going to completely fall over with the slightest gust of wind. But if you create more pillars, 5 pillars to be exact, you will have an extremely stable business where you can lose 1 or 2 of those pillars for a couple of days, couple of weeks even, and you won't even see the impact on your business. You won't feel it. There'll be no anxiety. It'll be barely a blip on your radar, like it was for Marlene and like it was for Ashley and like it was for Sarah when Facebook went down. Not even a blip on your radar, right? So for the first couple of years when I was training, I was trying to teach people how to make the algorithm work for them. That was my big platform when I first started coaching back in 2016, 17, because I was coaching my team back then. Now I teach that if you use these 5 pillars, then the algorithm doesn't even matter. Okay. It doesn't matter at all. Right. So, the 5 pillars, these are necessary. No matter what you're doing, you've got to have these 5 pillars. Right. The first pillar is that you have to know who your market is and you have to know why they want to buy your product and why they want to buy your product from you specifically. Okay. Second, you need a clear path from where you find them to where you send them without any holes. Right. So imagine like a long rope bridge. If there's holes in that rope bridge and people are walking across, they're going to fall through the holes. You need to make sure that the path from, oh, I found you to, oh, buy from me is completely unconfusing, unobstructed, and clear so that your audience can literally just click, oh, look, I'm buying, right? Super easy, super simple. The third pillar is that you have to have a way to get their attention in a sea of people who are doing the same thing that you are. It's kind of like finding Waldo, right? For many people, they go live the same way, they write posts the same way as everybody else does. And so you end up looking like a Waldo in a sea of Waldos. All right. What you need to do is learn how to stand out and lean into your uniqueness. That's super, super important. The fourth is that you need an email marketing system to be able to connect with your audience in a consistent way so that you can stay top of mind outside of social media. These 4 things, these 4 pillars create the engine of your business. Okay. So once you have those 4 in place, your business will run automatically. You will have to do very, very little to keep it going, except maybe write 3 to 5 social media posts a week at most. And then your 5th step, and this is the biggest pillar, is where you find the people, right? So once you have that path down, then your only job is working with your customers and finding the people to funnel in. And then because you're not spending so much time on Facebook, which right now takes up all of your time, now you can go find the people. Right now, the problem is you're so busy trying to find people on Facebook, you're not actually finding any people, right? And because you don't have these 5 pillars in place, you're not sure why nothing is working. Now, chances are you've probably already seen a lot of coaches about a lot of these things. You have a lot of these pillars in place in terms of the education that you've had, but you don't have a strategy for how to put them together so that your business runs like an engine. And that's why you feel stuck, right? Is because you haven't and that's the problem that a lot of business owners have. You probably know 90% of what you need to in terms of the actual education and skill sets. The problem is always the strategy. I struggle with strategy. Everybody struggles with strategy initially, except for maybe my sister. She is just so good at strategy. I think she was born fully formed from the womb with strategic knowledge. Like, she's just so good at it. But the strategy is what it takes. So what I have done is that I've put something together for you to help you not spend all your time wrangling Facebook, okay? Because you don't want to be focusing your attention on making Facebook work for you, because that's not where the money is. Facebook is just one part of the entire story. So what you want to do is this. Here's how you're going to do it. Okay, step one. I want you to go to www.socialstrategysquad.com. That's going to be in the show notes. We're closed right now. You can't sign up for the squad right now, so I'm not sending you there to buy from me. I'm actually sending you there because there is a free blueprint there, a workbook. It's not a workbook, it's a guidebook. Sorry, it's a guidebook. The entire guidebook for the pillars that I just described is at socialstrategysquad.com. You can download it. In it, it has the entire pillar system, the steps, how they work, how to decide where you are, what to do. Like, you could literally take it and run with it on your own and do all the things by yourself that are in that book. Once you have done, and it's not, I say book, but it's short. Once you've done that, then everything else will fall into place for you, right? When you put these pieces together, at that point, once you have those pieces together, then you can replace Facebook with whatever you want at that point. Once you've got the system in place, you can replace Facebook with whatever you want. The issue is that when you have been in business and you have a stable business that is bringing in consistent income, a lot of different types of strategies will work for you. A lot of different type of tools will work for you, and you can play around in a lot of different playgrounds. When you are trying to build the engine that is consistency and that is consistent income, you have less options because you need to get that framework and strategy in place, which is why you may see that a lot of other people are able to play around in these other places, but when you do, you don't see the same results. It's because you're missing that framework that keeps you stable, right? Without that framework, you can't play. You have to have the framework to play around, okay? What happens then is the questions change. You no longer say to yourself, should I get off of Facebook? You instead say to yourself, you know what? I really like short form video. I think I'm going to do TikTok. I really like long form video. I think I'm going to do YouTube, right? You start to decide those things on your own, and then the questions don't become, should I? It becomes, okay, if I'm going to do TikTok, I don't have time this quarter. I'm going to do it next quarter. And now you come at it from a place of empowerment instead of a place of insecurity, right? As long as your focus remains on Facebook and what to do about it, then you are prioritizing Facebook and you're making a choice and inviting catastrophe. Okay. As long as you prioritize Facebook as the only place that you're focusing your attention, or the primary place that you're focusing your attention, and that's where all the problems are. And when you're not able to get customers, you're like, it's Facebook reach, it's Facebook. As long as that's where your focus is, you are inviting chaos into your business. Okay. If you put all your eggs in the basket, that's what you're going to get. If Facebook drops the basket, then guess what? The eggs are broken. We're going to put your eggs in multiple baskets. Because I don't know about you, but I did not get into business to feel anxious all the time. You got in it to make money and to have an identity maybe outside of so-and-so's mom, or maybe to create freedom in your schedule. And it's hard to feel like the thing that you fell in love with isn't turning out exactly like you planned. And it's even hard to look that in the face. For me, it was really hard to look that in the face, to realize that, look, I have this great vision, this great plan, this great product, this great everything, but it's not working quite the way I planned. And Facebook is a central character in that disappointment. Because you don't want to be a Facebook expert. Most of us don't want to be Facebook experts. Dude, I don't even want to be a Facebook expert. I don't want to be a Facebook expert so much that Christy is now the Facebook expert in the squad because I didn't want to be a Facebook expert. And you don't have to be, right? You do not have to be. The only reason you spend so much time on Facebook is because of the systems that you've set up. We all set them up that way originally because that's how the platform was set up before, right? With a small shift in your approach, everything becomes a lot easier. But I know that it is tough to let go of this fundamental idea that Facebook is how you're going to be successful while at the same time hating it. It is really challenging. But once you take control of it, you'll actually find that you're on it less and you dislike it less because it's just not such a big part of your life anymore. You're not thinking about it anymore. Give this opportunity a chance, okay? So head over to www.socialstrategysquad.com. Add your name to the wait list so that if you want to join, you can join, because I know you'll want to, because seriously, it's amazing. And there's plenty of squad members who will tell you how amazing it is. But more importantly than getting on the wait list, download the guidebook. Okay, download the guidebook, because with the guidebook, you can have freedom from Facebook within just a few months. And then you won't have to feel that disappointment anymore or that annoyance on the platform because you won't be on it enough to care. And I do want to hear from you as you're doing this, because this is super important, because I know you're going to see a lot of changes. I know you're going to be excited about it. So definitely add those to this thread. And of course, you're always welcome to watch this podcast recording live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on the Direct to Success Facebook page, and also join the Q&A afterwards. You can also join the Q&A for this live on the Facebook page as well. And that's at manessa.konecki. This is a whole new way of approaching your business. And it's one that you've likely felt was right for you in your gut all along. Like, these are things that you've probably been thinking about on your own all along, but weren't sure how to give it voice. You know it's right for your business, but you also have a ton of other coaching voices drowning yours out. So I want to invite you to trust yourself, trust your gut. Send this podcast to anyone that you know who is feeling the same way, because business can be joyful. And my mission is to help bring the awesome back to everyone's business, one tactic at a time. And I'm really looking forward to doing that for you and hoping that you'll help me. Alrighty, and cut. Okay, what do we got? All right, what have we got? Okay. Oh, dude, don't even worry, Don't even worry. Oh my God. Okay. So now, all right, I'm going to actually stop the recording now. This is pretty cool. I recorded this on, oh, Gloria, that video was from a long time ago. I would never have shared that video if it had been recent. I was totally fine. Don't even worry. That video, I actually should probably put a note on it to say that video was from August 25th. It's in the description. So here is what I would love to, oh my God, you know what's happened? Hold on. I lost all of my comments. So let me come here. Oh, give me 1 sec. Fizz hooray. Hold on. Here's the link. It's on the screen for you right now. Sorry. It's on the screen for you right now. Okay. And then I want to go in here because I think I lost the comments. There we go. Hold on. All right. There we go. Oh my God. There's like 30 and I only see like 2 on Streamlabs. So, okay. We're going to stop that, and then let's look at what the comments are here. Okay. Let's go into... Okay. Alrighty. So, Alessandra says, I love the friends with benefits. I know, right? It is like the perfect analogy because, oh, no, dude, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it, Fizz. This is exactly what I'm here for. No sorries at all. This is my jam. This whole time is all yours. So, yeah. I think that the thing with Facebook for many of us is that we've married it. Like, it's like the central part of our lives. And I think for me, the biggest realization was the understanding that I don't want it to be a part of my life. Like, it's kind of like you wake up you ever listen to that, the Talking Heads song? I tell you, it's always in my mind, once in a lifetime, where it's like, how did I get here? Right? And you're like, I don't want Facebook to be such an important part of my life. So a lot of the tools and techniques that I have in the squad and in the roadmap to success guidebook, and also in my Hustle Proof Your Life tool, all of them are geared towards getting the most out of Facebook without letting it make you feel icky. So many of my clients and people who've used some of these tools have found that their relationship with Facebook and social media has become so much healthier and so much better since they don't feel like they're on it all the time, right? Since they feel like it's more their choice, less of like a compulsion. Because I think one of the key things for me was recognizing that Facebook is a really strong compulsion for me. Like I feel compelled, right? Like to well, not anymore, but I used to feel compelled. I was just constantly picking up my phone and looking at it, even if there was nothing there, because I'm looking for Facebook comment. I was looking for that dopamine hit. And I realized that like I had basically made Facebook my be all end all. And the only place I was getting joy or dopamine hits or anything was from Facebook or from my phone. And this was the problem, right? Because we have entire lives that we live outside where I have my dogs and I can get dopamine from throwing the ball, right? This conversation about Facebook was really where the idea of designing my life came from, and designing, like you designing your life and each of us designing our lives, right? And being really, really thoughtful about what it is that we want to spend our time doing. And I think that if anybody asked you, like if I'm asking right now, do you want to spend all your time on Facebook? Tell me what your answer is. Like, and if your answer is yes, there's nothing wrong. No judgment, dude. If anyone in here just loves Facebook, please say so, right? Because I think that's amazing. If you love Facebook, fabulous, right? I'm glad you enjoy your life so much because you're on it all the time, right? Perfect. But if you don't, then we can build other systems. It doesn't have to be that way, but I think a lot of us don't know another way to be because there's no blueprint. That's the problem. If somebody doesn't show you how to do something, figuring it out is really freaking hard because you're fighting against your own inertia. FYI, I'm going to regret rubbing my eye right now because I cut a jalapeno. Yep, there it is. There it is. Cut a jalapeno this morning. And I've washed my hands like 13 times, but you know how that goes with jalapeno. Oh, okay. So Crystal, you don't have to worry about the notes. So go to the www.socialstrategysquad.com and then all of the steps are in there. All of the pillars are in there. And then there's also like, so initially I just have like, here's the pillar. And then I also have like, okay, now each pillar is broken down into how do you know if that's your biggest problem right now? Like, because basically you don't want to work on all 5 pillars at once, right? Pick a pillar, work on it. And so I've given you guidelines to be like, okay, this is how you can figure it out. Now, if you join, when you join the squad, when we open next year, there's actually a quiz that you can take and it'll be like, oh, okay, this is where you belong. This is where you start. It's a lot. Then it'll just basically tell you where to go. Okay. Alrighty. No worries at all. I actually should have said that it's going to be there. I'm so glad that you're on the wait list, dude. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Okay. Yeah, no worries. So Sherry, it's actually very specifically. So a lot of my audience, and I want to actually touch upon this because this is really important. A lot of you guys have chronic illnesses or care for someone with a chronic illness. I know that like you have anxiety, depression, MS, that's my audience, right? This is who we are. And so I want you to know something. This is really important. I have designed this to work with people who have, I don't want to say limit. I mean, they are technically limiting, but a different framework from other people. So if you have cognitive issues, if you have trouble, like if you, let's say you don't learn well by writing or by reading, you learn better through listening or watching. I have set up the squad to accommodate all of that. I don't want you to feel like because this is so important. One of the biggest reasons why Facebook doesn't work for a lot of people and why a lot of the other coaches' lessons that you may have taken in the past may not necessarily have resonated with you is because they're designed for your average able-bodied person with no challenging anythings, right? And for someone like me, where I have anxiety, depression, I have ADHD, like I don't think the way other people do. And I have a chronic illness on top of that. And I can't focus for a long time. It's hard, right? And I can't sit down and watch hour-long videos. Now, I do have hour-long videos out here and I do all this stuff out here, but my trainings are very, very short. They all have transcripts. They all have closed captioning. They are all fully searchable. Now, this is obviously once you're in the squad, but I wrote out the Roadmap to Success guidebook specifically to help with that. So that if you need to go back to it, you can. Now, obviously, if you're not in the squad, you don't get all of the accommodations. But in the squad, I have tried to accommodate for all of the things that I felt were not things that people thought about when I was learning. And I felt ignored and unseen because of it. And I felt hurt. And I wanted to open up this space for that. So this is a very specific space for us, right? And that's why, I'm not going to get like all of the people. Because all of the people have other places to go, right? I wanted a place for us, okay? Alrighty, okay. Deb and Paul, how do I get Deb and Paul? I keep saying Deb and Paul. You have totally designed this for me. I need all the help. You are so, so welcome. That is exactly why, because I know jalapeno eyes is just the word. You guys are so funny. So Gloria says, no, I hate being on there all the time, but I go to my phone all the time without realizing it. So you know what I do is so here's some techniques that I tried. So first is I started deliberately losing my phone. So I'll just put it somewhere. I mean, obviously right now I have it, but if those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that very often I'm like, where's my phone? Right? Because I put it in other places in the house and then just leave it there. And as a result, I found I slowly was able to disconnect. Other things that I did are, okay, so my phone's here, right? So this happened the other day in the car, right? So I'm sitting in the car and I don't usually, like I'm barely on my phone. Ask anybody. I am terrible. The only way that you're going to get a hold of me is usually through Facebook PM. And the only reason why is because I have regular times that I go and I check on my Facebook as part of my day to day. And I just answer then, right? But if you're trying to get me on my phone, forget it. So I'm very, very protective of my time from my phone, but it didn't start that way. Okay. The way it started was I would just lose. And initially I would want to go find my phone and I'd reach out for it, but it wouldn't be there. And that's why I would kind of lose it. The other thing you can do is buy yourself a lockbox and lock your phone in it for periods at a time. That's for if you find that you're literally not able to put it down, which is fine if you need that. I got myself a lockbox for it. I got myself a lockbox not for the phone. I did put the phone in it, but I actually got it for my credit cards. It has a timer on it, and then it'll just poof. Now you may be if you want to download. So click on the button at the top of this page, the Direct to Success business page. And that will take you to the Hustle Proof Your Life tool. And the Hustle Proof Your Life tool actually has other techniques for how to get off the phone thingy. But the other key thing is just sort of when you reach for it. So in the car the other day, I was sitting and I did this and then I did this. And my husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." And he's like, "Well, you just did that thing." And I was like, "Oh, I was reaching for my phone and I realized I don't want my phone. This is an instinctive response." And I pulled my hand back like my phone was on fire. And so he saw that and he was wondering what the heck that was, right? Because even though I don't usually, right, care about where it is, I have had a cell phone since I was 22 years old. And I've had this habit since I was probably 30 something, late 30s, mid 30s, right? So this is a very old habit that I'm trying to break. I'm not going to give myself shit for reaching out to my phone, but all I need to do is say, "Oh, I don't need it right now," and just don't reach for it. Or if I'm here, right? So now I'm here and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait, I didn't want to pick this up. Put it away. Get up. Just walk away. Just walk away, right? Alton Brown, just walk away, right? It'll work out fine. But it's really about doing it slowly and being more aware, right? And deliberately losing your phone. Honestly, that was like game changer for me. Crystal's like, "Don't cry about it. I can't help it, dude. I can't. Facebook's just so sad." Okay. Alrighty. Jalapeno Eyes is the worst, dude. Jalapeno Eyes is the worst. Hi, Durana. So good to see you. Alrighty. Dude, Chasing Momo, we don't actually have... Oh, dude, Jessica, you have a tag that says you're an anniversary follower. Okay, now I'm going to have to... Can I right click on that and have it tell me what that is? I can't. I'm going to have to find out what an anniversary follower is. Okay. So that is our conversation for today, is really about Facebook. What I would love to encourage you to do is a couple of things. I want you to really think about the role that Facebook plays in your life and what role you want it to play in your life, right? Just be aware of it. Oh my God, Icy Hot or Tiger Bomb. Oh my God, Tiger Bomb Eyes is the worst. Oh my God, if we were in the squad, I would tell you a funny story. I'll tell the funny story later. It's a Chasing Momoa type story. Thank you so much, Liana. So I want you to really think about the role that Facebook plays in your life and really just in terms of what do you want it to play in your life? Because you have control over this. You don't have control over whether Facebook goes down. You don't have control over whether the code messes something up. You don't have control over whether or not someone's going to be on Facebook at any given point in time. But what you do have control over is the system that you build to generate income in your business. You have 100% control over that system. There's literally no piece of that system that you don't have control over designing and creating. Once you've designed and created that system, it will bear the weight that you are currently holding, okay? You're currently holding the weight of your entire business and trying to move it forward. When you build that, you can take the weight off your shoulders and put it onto the system, and then you will feel so much freer and lighter, okay? Head over now, www.social. Oh my God, 3 years ago today, I found you and fell back in love with my business. # because of Vanessa. Oh no, because of you, dude, but I want to screenshot that because that is like... Dude, you have done so much freaking work this year. Like seriously, not just on your business, like on everything. I am in awe of what you have accomplished this year, guys. You have no idea the things that Jess, oh my God, Jenna, so many. I can't even list how much all of you have accomplished. Like the steps that you've been taking. This is the kind of thing that happens when you shift your perspective in your business. It's not just money. So many other things start to change. You start to realize your own value. You realize your own worth. You start making more money. I've had people who left their husbands because they realized that they didn't really like their husbands or that their husbands didn't like them. I've had clients who sold their house and bought new houses, and none of that was because I said, buy a house, you can make more money. And none of that was because of anything that I directly did. The thing that I did was say, this is the framework that you want to be using to think about business and to grow your business. And just changing that, you guys take it all the rest of the way. And that's really where the power is. Like, we spend so much time and energy trying to create something facing that direction, right? And we're like, oh my God, I got to build it. And then we're like, oh, whoa, there's a path that's a slip and slide and somebody's covered it with lube and oil. Well, that's just way easier. Why am I not doing that? Right? And then you just take everything that you've learned and it just slides with you into success, right? It slides with you into success. And that's really the key. We don't have to be so hard on ourselves. I want you, and that's my key. I'm going to leave you with that. I know I keep talking. I want to leave you with that. I want to leave you with this thing, is that you deserve to be in love with your business, and you deserve to have all the money and freedom and joy in the world, and you can have it. All it takes is a small shift in perspective. So head over to www.socialstrategysquad.com and download the Roadmap